Hi, everybody. We are here again, and I'm really excited about this training I'm giving you today because it's not just any training that I've been given to all of you. It's actually a case study I want to share with you so you can be in the know of how I turned a decline into an approval for one of my one-to-one clients. But this is one of my very favorite case study and success story with one of my client because she's a single mom, and I'll have you get to know her in a little bit. We are using a fictitious name today just to make sure that we protect her identity. But this has been such a rewarding journey with her, and I want to make sure that my community gets to hear all about the success because to me, this is truly the epitome of why I do what I do. It makes me a little bit emotional to even share this today, but I want you to know it's important. So, to protect my one-to-one client or student's identity, we are going to call her using a fictitious name, Mary. So we're going to call her throughout this presentation and training, Mary. Okay, Mary came to me on February 11, 2022. When she came to me, she had $25,000, just probably under $25,000 in credit card debts, bleeding. Guys, when I say bleeding, she was bleeding interest rate and could not catch up even if she wanted to. She had a sub 700 FICO 8 credit score. She wasn't aware it was sub 700 until we pulled it. Okay. And she has, the only thing that she really had going for her at the current moment when she came to me was she had a great equity on her home that she owns. So this is actually what saved this whole entire case study and what makes it all possible. So stay with me. Remember when I talk about credit card debts, the bleeding, I call it the financial plumbing leak, right? Imagine having a $25,000 credit card debt and not really getting ahead at all. It is quite difficult. And you'll see her income range. It's going to even be so difficult when you see her income range because there is no light at the end of the tunnel when she came to me. She almost just have given up and then just give up all of her 30 some years in her career that she has built so beautifully. She just have a broken money system, and that's where I come in. What does Mary do? So let me tell you and give you a little bit of information about Mary and give you a little bit of like background so you can get to know Mary. Mary owns a hair salon, barely scraping by. She got into network marketing that wasted a lot of money for her and increased her credit card debt. That's why she's in trouble right now. It also took her time away from her main hustle, which was hair. Because, guys, when you're doing hair, you're it, right? And she is one woman show. So when you are traveling for these network marketing company, unfortunately, it's just going to take you away from your main hustle. And then because of desperation, her reaction to all of this situation is that she ended up driving for Uber. The problem is when we look at the Uber income and being a single mom that she is away from her child, she's a daughter and she's away, it's not really that worth it. Sometimes you have to look at the other side of money, which is time. And I talk a lot about time, especially when you're a parent. When you look at her Uber, when I heard how much she makes money on Uber, just as out of desperation, it's really not that much. And if we could just redirect the attention and really pay attention to the details of her salon, she'll make way more money. But the problem was the focus. The focus was not there. The hashtag do the work was not there. All right. Let me share some details because this is how I get really granular, how granular I can really get with one-to-one. right? I'm kind of shying away from one-to-one right now. I'm actually launching on April 1st's Multiply Circle. It's still going to get really granular in an intimate setting. It's going to be a group setting. But here's Mary's debt load. She owes $16K since 4 years ago. Or her limit in Discover is $16K. She has a balance, and you could pretty much do the math here. She has the balance of 15,000, just over 15,000, and she's done 2 transfers. What do I tell you guys when you're needing to do a transfer? You need to have a strategy, because what happens if you don't is it just keeps making everything worse. And this is exactly what was happening to her. And then she has 4,089 ending this month. She has 7,900 that she owes to Capital One. Okay. She has 7,986 to Capital One. Actually, she has managed to pull down her balance on 1524 and did 2 transfers, and now it's 4,000 ending this month. But it's been like that for the last 4 years. Okay. Imagine the interest that she's been paying. And then you've got Capital One, and then you got Apple Card. And then you got Capital One Venture with 8,000 limit. She owes not much in there, which is great. 1,000, but it all adds up. And then somehow she has an Alaska Airlines with the limit of 8,500, and she owes a lot of money in it. And then the grand total is 23 and change, I think. So 23 and change in credit card debt is very painful, because that's just the principal. Can you imagine the interest that bleeds every month because of these debts? It's painful. So here we go. To continue on what that looks like for her, she has a mortgage balance of 253,000, which is actually not that bad. It's pretty good. Rate is 4.2%. Payment is $1,715. The value of her home is actually 428,000. Okay. And we did the math because I know how to do these maths. The 80% loan to value is 342. The 75% loan to value is 321. The reason we came up with that is we want to know how much can we borrow from the home at 75% and how much can we borrow from the home at 80%. And that is just an informational only for us during our session. Here's Mary's trajectory on her income. And guys, remember, she has been in hair for over 30 years. If you've been in hair for over 30 years, she actually does a really, really, really good job. Okay. She's also an educator, meaning she can literally build an education side of her business. But because she was sidetracked with the network marketing companies that were really messing with her during the 2020, lockdown, because I think out of desperation as well during the 2020, this kind of something that happened to her for desperation reason. So her last 3 years of income, 2020 is 35K. 2021 is just over 41K. Remember, she came to me last year, early in February. Okay. And she almost doubled her 2021 number because we paid attention to the numbers. It's really easy to do, but it's really hard to do as well, to pay attention and to focus on something. And we just really paid attention to her numbers this year. And now she is 23,000 shy, 23,000 shy of her $100,000 a year goal, which is, by the way, when we did the math, okay, we did the math on February 2022 together, and she has a multiple 6-figure business. It's mind-blowing, and it's mind-blowing to her too, because her response was, Kareen, I'll never make 100. I go, what are you talking about? I've never made 100,000 in my entire career. I go, what are you talking about? You must have not done the math, because when I'm doing the math here, like, you have multiple six-figure business. And if you really, really, really focus on the really good services that you offer, girl, you have multiples here. And so she's like, really? So here we go, guys. The next step. Okay. Now that we have that information, one of the things that I asked her, what is her best day in her career? You know, granted, this lady has been in the hair business for quite a long time. And of course, we couldn't go back all the way back in time. So I said, in the last 12 months, and I even just said 12 months, what was your best day like in terms of revenue? And she told me it was $1,000 plus or minus, right? A little over. So that means, I mean, you see here on number 3, that means she has validated that she can do $1,000 a day. We did the math because she only works 4 days a week. I've tried to force her to work 5 days a week. Okay. She's a single mom and she has obligations, and we've done all the inventory of her time, and she's very adamant about working 4 days a week. So I'm like, okay, I'll do the math on 4 days a week. $1,000, 4 days a week times 52 weeks in a year. Granted, there's some vacation in and out of there. It's a couple $100,000 a year. And like, this lady just couldn't believe, right? So in terms of the debts, our number one next step during this process was to stop the credit card debt interests. I like to call financial plumbing leak. That was our number one goal. Number 2, to not apply for anything right now. It's like, it's not a good time, right? You have to park that idea that at this moment in time, applying for something new like a credit card, that's what I mean when I say for anything right now. I'm honing in on her credit card. So she was prohibited from applying for any credit card. And then we learned her numbers. And that's what we gathered, was that I said, what was your best day ever in the last 12 months when we got together? And she said $1,000. And I'm like, Aisha, $1,000. That's like, girl, that's like 208,000 in a year. That's crazy money compared to where you've been. So we narrowed it down. We narrowed down what's $1,000 look like? 3 services, 3 main services. And that's another story for another day, but 3 main services that she could focus on, because you get what you focus on in your business. And if she keeps focusing, and by the way, she didn't have an online presence. She didn't have social media. So I started teaching her and started telling her to show up on her social media. And she's getting a lot of like leads through her social media, especially Instagram, because when you're doing hair before and after, it's really powerful in Instagram. It's kind of like your catalog, right? Of the work that you do and the art that you do for people. And she is loving her journey. And guys, it's not about, it's not about the hard work, because the hard work we know we have to do in order to get there. But are you having so much fun? Are you enjoying every step of the way? That is what we need to achieve here. So, number 1 goal, always stop the bleeding. You know me. Whenever I see a bleeding, the financial plumbing leak, we need to stop the bleeding of the high interest credit card debts by hook or by crook. Stop the bleed strategy. Here we go. Here was a strategy that we really looked into based on what she had. Okay, I want you to know that you're probably going to be different from Mary. Okay, your situation is probably going to be different than Mary. And every situation is different. That's why knowing the numbers before creating a strategy is really powerful. So this was our stop the bleed strategy. Number 1, where do you have your financial institution that you've had the longest relationship with? Here's why I asked that. because when we go for our debt consolidation, we want to make sure that we're strategic about it. And we want to make sure we go to the financial institution you've had a longest relationship with. Number two, based on your case and my notes, our only option to stop the bleeding is your home equity line of credit. So that's why I shared with you guys some context and some notes about our meeting, right? About our initial meeting to collect data points. Those are some of the data points. Remember, I talk a lot about data points. Unless I have data points, I'm not going to be able to give you a strategy. So based on the case and the notes that I gathered, our only option at this very moment in time is to stop the bleeding and get a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. Usually I will not use this for that, but since that's our only option at this moment in time, we must stop the bleeding. Remember, the number one goal is to always stop the bleeding of those high interest credit card debts by hook or by crook. Number two, well, we already went over that. Number three, in the meantime, focus on your 1,000 a day revenue. So she has focused on that for quite a while. And you saw, as you see in the income in 2022, she almost doubled her numbers in 2021. How exciting. Well, she applied for the home equity line of credit and she got declined. What? You would not believe the discouragement and the sound of her voice when we met after she got declined. I could feel her emotions. And she yet again hit a wall, right? When you hit a wall and you've been trying, it's kind of like the worst. It's like, you start feeling like I'm never going to get ahead. They're not even going to give me a chance. And it's like a secured loan of my home with a lot of equity. That is something that you start feeling like you've been shut down by the world. What do you do when you get declined? Because I asked her, did you ask why you got declined? She didn't. So I said, hey, here are 3 things we need to do when you are declined. We need to ask why you got declined and write it down. We need the details of it. Remember, guys, I cannot give you any strategy unless we have data points. And this is what you need to do. You need to collect data points. So I said, let me know why so I can give you strategies on how to escalate it. Because sometimes in these financial institutions, you're dealing with bankers and they have supervisors and their supervisors have supervisors and so on and so forth. So I said to her, go ahead and ask why you got declined and write it down, every single detail of it. Come back to me. Let me know why so I can give you some strategies on how to escalate it and be open to mentorship. Like, this is the biggest thing. Number 3, be open to mentorship. Mary said, here we go. Mary said she was declined because of her heavy debt load on her credit cards. That was it. You see, now that I have that data point, I was able to give her some tips and strategies to go back and how to fight for her. Like, literally, this is her fighting for her life. And I said, Mary, this is you fighting for your life. I'm just here to guide you. You need to go back there and fight for your life. And I said, and she said that the only reason that they declined her was because of her debt load. We already know that. Guys, this is why I was addressing it, right? By getting this consolidation home equity line of credit to consolidate her debt. Keep in mind, Mary did not have any recent lates or derogatories on her credit profile. This is something important for me to share with you because you may think like, oh my gosh, I feel like my situation is just like Mary. I want to make sure that it's clear that Mary, while she had a lot of credit card debts, She did not have any lates, nor did she have any derogatories on her credit profile. So I know I can fight for her. I know we can fight for this. So I told Mary to go back to the credit union, because it was a credit union, and speak with the supervisor and leverage the 3 R's. The 3 R's, here are the 3 R's, and must be in this order. Guys, it has to be in this order. You can't twist it. You can't make number 3 number 1. You can't make number 2 number 1. It has to be in this strategic order. Relationship, the right thing to do, and the risk. That's it. Here's what it sounds like. Relationship. So when she goes back to the credit union, she'll say to the supervisor, I've been with you guys for such a long period of time, and I've always been in great standing. I inherited my relationship from my parents, who are now elderly and have so much trust in your institution. I just need your help. Right thing to do. I need your help to stop the bleeding of my credit card interest rates. I'm not asking for too much here, just enough to pay off all of my credit card debts. You're declining me because I want to learn a lesson and be responsible with my finances, but you're the only one standing in my way. Please do the right thing here and help out a single mom today. You notice that I said, please do the right thing. Please is quite important. It's the magic word. We have to use magic words when we negotiate with the bank. Do you understand? And you notice I said, please do the right thing and help out a single mom today. It's not a lie. She's a single mom, and we're leveraging the fact that she is and she needs help. This is where all of these data points come into play. Here comes the 3rd R, risk to the bank, because the way that the financial institution make their decision is based on risk, right? Purely on numbers. It's up to you to fight for your life and go back and talk to them about your life. Because at the point of decline, they don't really care, because they don't really know. You see, it's not that they don't care, they just don't know. But what do? We walk away from a decline without fighting for it, without even asking why. So the 3rd R is risk to the bank. You must acknowledge that the bank is taking a risk by doing this loan to you, but you acknowledge it in the most strategic way. Here's how it sounds. I get it. I'm a risky borrower for you from the angle of my credit score and my debt load. You can control all the payoffs and send it direct to them to minimize your risk. And I will power through the balance of my HELOC, which is your home equity line of credit. This loan is also simply a consolidation of all of my credit card debts, secured, by the way, by the equity of my home. Again, low risk loan for you. I have hired a financial mentor and money coach who is coaching me through this. The risk is quite minimal. You need to let them know that the only risk they're taking is to help you get out of a bad situation. They also need to know that you now have learned your lessons and that you're actually doing something about it, because that's part of the risk management. It is part of how they manage the risk and make their decisions. So when you say the last few statements, it says again, low risk loan for you. I have hired a financial mentor and money coach who is coaching me through this. The risk is quite minimal. They know you've hired somebody. You know why? Because you are powering through this negotiation table and you're using lingos that no one else uses ever before. They already know you're being coached because you're so sophisticated in your negotiating. They're like so impressed with you. They can read that. They know what a consumer that's not educated sound like. And they also know what an educated consumer sound like. That's it. And guess what? Mary got approved, you guys. Oh my gosh. Whew. Mary and I literally cried together. This was huge for her. Mary focused on her hair business, garnering more understanding about the math of her $1,000 day and have been focusing on that. She's going for her 100,000 this year. Can't wait for her to scream. And she finally achieved that after 30 plus years, right? The end of this year. I know she can. A mark she's never achieved in her 30 plus years in her career as a hair educator and a salon owner. She achieved 842, almost perfect, just shy of 8 like scores, number 8, right? To get to the perfection of the FICO. Roughly about 8 months later, and continuing to focus on making more money so she can finally achieve her big dream to hit 6 figures. And then I know she's going to hit multiple 6 figures. November 2022, Mary reported 3 things. Number 1, Mary focused on her hair business, garnering more understanding about the math of her $1,000 day and have been focusing on that. Number 2, she is going for 100,000 this year, a mark she's never achieved in her 30 plus years in her hair career. Number 3, she achieved 842 FICO 8 score, roughly about 9 months later, and continuing to focus on making more money so she can power through the HELOC balance and she can purchase her next cash flowing properties or join the Airbnb game. And that's it for tonight. I am so proud of her. I hope that's you next, or if you are needing some help, hope you join the Multiply Circle launching on April 1st. Some housekeeping again, you guys, I always want to remind you, make sure you check the resources below this video. If you're not yet inside the private Facebook group, please go ahead and join, post questions. And as we go through our challenge, our Fifi challenge here soon, post some of your success, post some of your walk, your exercise, whatever it is you are committing to in this challenge. Also join the private house Kareen.club on Clubhouse. This is the second training of March 2023. And as a reminder, do the work. Post success and wins inside our Facebook group and house. That space is for all of us. I am done for now, and I thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy that case study. I can't wait to share more case studies with you. I'm your super host. My vision is to mother the world through financial literacy.